Okay, here we are in Chapter 4. Or before Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is all the way to the right in that portal. Okay, beginning of Chapter 4, as it loads in. This is actually one of the very, very, very few places where a soft lock is possible. It's not a run-ending soft lock, but it's a big time loss. And we'll show you where that happens. It comes up here pretty soon.
We also have no idea why it happened.
Yeah, no clue. And I say it's one of the few places where it's possible. It's one of the few places we're aware of where it's possible. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. So sometimes, during this little cutscene, and once again, I'm still holding right because I regain control before I can see my Yarny.
But
sometimes the camera stops right there, and it never pans back over to the left so that you can see your Yarny. No idea why, but sometimes it happens. In which case, you have to pause, restart checkpoint. And restart checkpoint takes you to the beginning of the level. It's a time loss of at least a minute. It sucks. Okay, the intended solution for this, I don't even remember how to do anymore. It involves these pulleys that may or may not be yo-yos. I don't know what they are exactly. But this is how we do it. Zoop. And I'm going to do a wall jump because that zoop didn't actually get me enough height. That zoop didn't actually get me enough height to get onto that branch, so it's a zoop plus a wall jump. Whoop! Ray's going to go all the way over to this tree trunk here. Now, I'm really bad at zoop cancels. This is the one zoop cancel that I have to do in the entire run, and it often hecks us, because I'm terrible at them. Now, remember what Ray said earlier about standing in these lights? Zoop's not working. So I'm going to stand over to the right side of it. Ray's going to jump and zoop. And I'm going to attempt to cancel her. Like so.
That only took you 3 tries.
Now, Ray's going to hold the zoop button because, once again, we regain control of the Yarnies before we can see them. You can barely, at the bottom of the screen, see Ray zoop over. As soon as I see her zoop, I start holding down and the jump button, X on a PlayStation controller, so that I'm already standing on the ground when those vines disappear. And then you just hold right to proceed to the next screen just as soon as you can. Here's a huge skip. This is a massive skip. It's not a major skip because this is no major skips category, but it is big. This is how we do it.
I'm going to do the old one first.
There's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can jump up here. Watch out for that brick. And while standing here, jump, zoop.
Jump, cancel.
And then I grab this anchor point right after she cancels. Or, and this is only slightly faster. It is slightly faster. It's a little more risky because you have a smaller window in which you can cancel the zoop and grab the anchor point up above.
And because I have to stand in a more... Standing here is more likely that I will fall, and if I slide down, we would have to reset the checkpoint for this to work.
But essentially, instead of climbing up this anchor point here and then jumping from on top, I just jump onto the wall and zoop. But there is an entire screen to our right that we just didn't see. We never did it.
There's stuff over there.
Like, there's a whole 2 puzzles over there that we just didn't do. It's great. All right, we're going to climb up the inside of this tree.
And then just do a bunch of swinging.
We're like George of the Jungle over here. You remember that movie?
No, I never saw that movie.
Oh, I loved it. Brendan Fraser. Man, he's awesome. Jump up here. If you miss this, this is kind of a tough jump to make. I usually wait until just after the peak of this little mini hill. So now.
But it's also different when you do it on PS4, I know.
Yes. It's not, it looks exactly the same, but Yarny movement is a tiny bit different on consoles than it is on PC, so, you know, find what works for you, but that's my visual cue for where to jump. If you miss it, that's okay. You can just do one quick wall jump and then swing around. Just a little thing. bunny hop up this log here. Drop through there. All right, now this upcoming puzzle, there's a couple of different ways to solve. The new solution to this is a very recent addition to our route, and it's a huge time save. We will show you the old solution first. I do not recommend it. Push this all the way. Ray's going to drop through so that she can catch it. And then as soon as this starts tilting over, you run. And you end up here. All right, so that's the old solution. This is the new one. Starts out the same. But we're just going to ignore that brick.
I'm going to wait here.
I'm going to jump up on top of... Whoops. There's the top of this board has a little extra thing on it. I'm going to jump onto this, and then wall jump and zoop. And it gets me up there.
I'm going to walk over like I did in that puzzle in Chapter 2, so that when I zoop, I don't tangle.
Yep. And then you just move along. As the All-American Rejects are fond of saying, move along. Now this swing here, I do this swing pretty safe. This is a very minor thing, but I do a wall jump here so I can get some momentum going to the right. The wall jump is not strictly necessary because you can just jump up and grab it. So, a couple of different ways. Boop. And do that. Or, if you want to just kind of be safe, get some momentum going, grab it. And then jump around, grab that. This is an easy anchor point to miss. Don't. On top of that board. That is a mandatory wall jump. Now this next one is played better safe than sorry. You can faceplant on this wall, or you can try and time it very exactly so that you kind of get flung right through this hole here. The risk of that, obviously, is
that you miss.
That you miss and you land all the way down here.
By the way, there's vines over here. Sometimes we forget they exist.
Yes, if that happens, yeah, I wanted to demonstrate that. If that happens, there's some vines. Whoops. There's some vines right here. If I can climb them, that'd be great. That you can climb up and just do the puzzle over again. So, like I said, better safe than sorry. A faceplant never hurt anyone, except for all of the times that it did. I'm going to drop Ray off here. And this is a big old skip. I couldn't even tell you how to do that puzzle the intended way.
I could, but it would take a long time.
Okay. This is just kind of a 1, 2, 3 swing sort of situation. Now, I'm going to pause right here. The stump. I was about to say the butte.
I think it's a stump.
The stump right underneath me right now. Don't touch it. If either Yarny makes contact with it, it will trigger a very short, but still time loss cutscene that serves no purpose other than to just show some birds flying like up above you. But if you can get over this stump without making contact with it, it skips that cutscene. Usually, if we accidentally trigger it, it's during the zoop. And while Ray is flinging over to me, she'll accidentally hit it, which she has no control over. So make sure you get a good swing up over it, and don't risk running into it. All right, so here's we're gonna pull on this knot and then another knot behind it to release a boulder. Don't get crushed.
Zoop on up.
Yep, I zoop, and then I do a swing just to get some distance.
Because again, swings are faster than walking.
This is a good time to note. You see these flips? Well, he's not doing it anymore.
Think we
but
can do one?
Did you see? Let's try it. So we are going to attempt to.
You have to pull it.
We're going to attempt to demonstrate a fling, which is not legal in No Major Skips, but it's cool tech nonetheless.
And this way, you know what not to do.
To do a fling, you have to have a victory flip, which. Immediately previously, I was just demonstrating. After you get a really, really good jump, it's kind of unclear exactly what triggers them. But sometimes when you jump, your Yarny will do a front flip. Those are what make flings possible. If you perform a zoop while the Yarny being zooped to is doing a front flip,
all of that momentum always transfers to the other Yarny.
So the Yarny that is zooping instead of zooping directly to the Yarny, is going to zoop way past the Yarny. If you don't cancel the zoop, the zooping Yarny will just come back. But if you do cancel the zoop, the Yarny that is zooping has a whole bunch of momentum that has carried it past the first Yarny, and you can get a lot of speed and a lot of distance. They're a little bit hard to control, and the results are very rarely consistent, which is a big part of the reason they're not allowed in NMS. But in the RMS category, which doesn't exist... Oh, no, I'm sorry. They're allowed in the unrestricted any % category, and that's it. So we're going to try and demonstrate one, because this is a good opportunity to do it, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah!
So, that was a fling.
I ended up ahead of where he was.
It was kind of a minor fling. That wouldn't have saved us a great deal of time, except for, the 5 or 6 steps that I just didn't have to travel. But there are flings that can save... I mean, you can
minutes.
Skip minutes worth of a chapter. Yeah, they're awesome.
So if you're interested in that style of gameplay, you might look into the any % run.
All right, so here, I'm supposed to climb up inside of this tree stump. I don't want to. Takes forever, don't want to do it. So we're just going to do a zoop cancel. If you don't get that anchor point up there, just shifting yourself up over this boat is a good backup.
But again, swings are faster than walking.
Swings are faster than walking, so it is best used as a backup.
Frog.
Hey, frog. Okay, so you remember how we had the turkey? Turkey was small potatoes. In this chapter, we have a new, more formidable opponent.
I disagree. I think the turkey would take the fish any day.
Okay, before I move on here, this is just one little thing that a lot of folks get caught on. This tree trunk here, I'm going to try and grab this kind of low. So when you swing over, you are almost certainly going to get hit. Bonk.
Bonk.
Bonk. Just kind of barely catching my foot on it. That's too low. But bonk. So, couple of things you can do to try and prevent that being a problem. Either be very careful to grab this knot at the very peak of your jump, which I didn't just do. Or, if you are going to get kind of clipped by it, just carry your swing farther than you think you need to.
And then let go.
But if you just go off of muscle memory and you don't realize that you're going to get clipped there by that tree, it's going to mess up your swing.
And then you end up in the water, and swimming is just so slow.
Yeah, you don't want the swim of shame. No one wants the swim of shame. All right, so here we have a fish.
He's sleeping.
Let's go ahead and show you how to handle this fish the usual way. You jump on it.
Fall damage?
And now it's mad at you. Ray's going to hop off.
I guess it doesn't really matter, but...
Now I'm going to not get eaten. And this fish is going to plop up next to me, and I'm going to jump on it again. Ray paused the game very quickly, but basically I'm going to land on this log, suffer fall damage. As soon as we suffer fall damage, as per usual, Ray's going to hop off of me and continue on to the right, and then I just zoop to her as soon as I can. The reason we didn't demonstrate that is because we didn't want to trigger the checkpoint. Because now we're going to demonstrate the new method, the newer method, that is faster, because you don't ever have to wait on the fish, and you don't have to worry about fall damage. But it's more difficult. Shift. Now the fish is not angry. There you go. And that's it. So it's just 2 shifts, but they're pretty difficult shifts. You need about as much distance and height as you can possibly get out of a shift, or else you're going to land in the water, which is worse than if you had just not attempted the skip in the first place. I'm pausing here because I want to demonstrate a pretty much guaranteed place to tangle. We talked about victory flips a minute ago. That's what allows flings, which again, not allowed in this category. Victory flips are also a good way to guarantee yourself a tangle. So I'm going to show you what I mean here. Ideally, what's going to happen is I'm going to be able to do some victory flips after this, and then when Ray zoops to me, the flip is going to result in a tangle.
Nope.
Well, okay. We weren't able to get him here. We'll manage somewhere. But the idea, in case we don't manage to trigger them anywhere, the idea is that because you're doing a victory flip, that gets the yarn a little bit out of whack.
And it's just more likely to get caught on stuff.
And your yarn is a lot more likely to get tangled up on something. It can even get tangled just in the ground. So there was another section, we just kind of talked right through it. But another section with the fish. The fastest strat there is just... Whoops. The fastest strat there is just not to get eaten. All right, there's a couple of different solutions here. I won't even bother showing you the intended method because it involves pushing this brick that's just below us. And I think you're supposed to build a bridge, too. Yeah, I think you build a bridge. It takes a long time, and I don't want to do it because it's boring. Both solutions that we have used involve zoop shifts. That's the one we used to use. We get up on top of this flagpole here, and then I swing myself down into that porthole. The method we use now is a little bit quicker because we don't need the flagpole. It's basically the same though. I'm gonna zoop shift, and she's just gonna cancel a little bit lower, and then I fall directly into the porthole. Okay, couple of different good solutions for this puzzle. You notice we landed right here. We landed right here because I was holding right, and so was Ray. I was holding right on the joystick all throughout that screen transition. I never let go of right. So you get a little bit of rightward momentum as you're falling, because you fall in, from the ceiling. And that lands us up here. Ordinarily, you just land here on the ground, and this is too high. Can't jump onto this. So this is, until pretty recently, the solution we used.
Can't do this, though.
I guess you can't just climb up. Yeah, that's fair. Until recently, this is the solution we used for this puzzle.
This is actually how we did it casually as well.
Yeah, the casual solution for this, I actually don't know what the right one is, because this is what we did on accident during our casual play. I'm going to push this brick over, and it's going to fling Ray all the way over there, and then I would zoop to her. Boop. This is what we do now. It's significantly quicker.
But much harder. It's
much harder. You have to be really good at zoop shifts. So I'm going to stand all the way over to the right. Ray's going to stand all the way over to the left. This is what I have found makes it a little simpler for me. Instead of jumping onto the wall, like I do for a lot of zoops, I'm going to jump straight up into the air and then zoop. And then as soon as I zoop, I start holding right on the controller. One more time. And then Ray does need to zoop to me because we both have to walk through here. And that's the end of Chapter 4. All you have to do is walk all the way to this swan.
And then watch a minute-long cutscene.
Yes, the ending cutscene for Chapter 4 is the longest of any of the chapters. There's actually 2 fades to black. So be careful not to split early. This lasts... Again, it kind of depends on your console. We're pretty sure the console version, as opposed to the PC version, runs a little bit faster, which makes this cutscene a little bit shorter. But this is almost exactly a minute long. And look, our kids are happy. They're not running away. So here's the first fade to black. Do not split there. Now we have a second one.
I mean, ultimately, you can split wherever you want, but...
That's fair.
But if you want to split at the end of the chapter, just be aware it's not until after you go through the portal.
And I mentioned earlier, chapters 3 and 4 were my favorite. Moving on to chapter 5, you will see why. Chapter 5 is mean. Once again, after this fade to black, pause, quit to start screen, assuming you are skipping that cutscene. And we'll see you in Chapter 5.